Everybody, welcome to our webinar, the next in our webinar series here at Network Utilities. We're joined this morning by our partner SMS Passcode, and my name is David Silsby. I'll be chairing the broadcast. I'm joined today from SMS Passcode, Nikolai Vang, who is the Nordic Regional and Partner Manager, and also Anup Vora, who is the UK Country Manager. As we explained on the email and when you registered and signed up, we try to keep these webinars fairly short, down to about 30 minutes. Sometimes they run a little bit over if we have a lot of questions, so we hope that you'll find it interesting today. The agenda for the day session is pretty simple. We're going to be handing over shortly to Nikolai, who's going to briefly describe some of the challenges facing organizations today from a secure authentication point of view and protecting their corporate assets. As we know, we live in modern times. The concept of two-factor or multi-factor authentication is not new. It's been around for a while. But the fact that the landscape is changing all the time and that there's new security threats, and we're seeing issues with major organizations being hacked, we have to adapt and provide modern solutions for that. And that's what we hope to provide for you today. Network Utilities have been partnering with SMS Passcode for really since the beginning of this year, and we think it's wonderful technology, so much so we actually use it ourselves, and we have a number of customers already on board with this. So we hope you enjoy the presentation. What I'd like to do now is just before I hand over to Nikolai, just explain there is a question panel in your GoToMeeting box. If you have any questions, please do fire them in that box. The meeting organizer will make sure that we try and address them during a Q&A session that we'll have at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, let me hand you over to Nikolai.
Thanks a lot, David, and welcome to all of you guys, and thank you for having me. Yeah, so I'm Nikolai, and out of Denmark. Sorry for my bad English if it's too bad. I hope to make it. I made English breakfast this morning just to get me started on that track. So anyways, I'm going to tell you a bit about this security space that I'm working in and has been working in for 4.5 years now. And I'm a partner in the company, in this company, based out of Denmark. But I have a Nordic responsibility in that sense. I'm a colleague of Anup's. But let's get started. So we call ourselves, being called leading technology, so a leading technology company. We're recognized as such by a number of companies or magazines, in this case Secure Computing Magazine, or by Citrix, or the vendors that we work with, and companies that have tested our solution, of course. Recently we were announced on the Gartner's Magic Quadrant. We're very happy with that, of course, but mainly technology companies like Citrix give us great recognition, and we like that, of course. So let's see if I can have this working. So what it's all about is securing identity. So when we have users logging in remotely, we like to make sure that they are the right users. And we have many systems as a user today that we log into. And if I give you an example of how your identity can be compromised, we could start off by looking at something more private, maybe like Facebook. So if I try to log on my Facebook account here, and you see me log in with my Nikolai and my password. Very long password, but it is security, right? So login and password. And then what happened? What just happened was that this was not really the real Facebook site. So I entered facebook.dk, and there's no such thing as all.com. So what happened was this was a phishing site. It also said Facebook here, actually. I didn't see that at first. So what happened was that I had my username and my private password, as I wrote here, stolen, so that a potential hacker could now log into my Facebook site. And this is why two-factor authentication was introduced some years ago, because username and password is not enough. It can be stolen in various ways. You all are probably familiar with keyloggers or malware of different kinds that is capable of taking your password if you sit in an internet cafe or whatever. So a password can be stolen in many ways. You can pretend to be from the IT support or whatever, and please give me your password, and some users will hand out their passwords. So this is why passwords are not enough. Then for some 20 years now, tokens has been around, and let's see how that works. So beside username and password, you need your physical thing. So two-factor authentication is something you know, as in a password, and something you have physically. And how can we make sure that users have something physically? We've given them for 20 years a token, and if they could log in with the one-time password on that token, then we trust that it is the right user. So let's see if we can have this working. That could be nice. Sorry about that. Let's see, we can go here, maybe, yeah. So I can go to it here. All right, I think we have it here. So here I log on to my Citrix site. So I log in with my username, my password, and then I find my old token in the drawer. I have one here, and then I type in my PIN code and then my one-time password on the token. Here we go. So now I'm logging in on my Citrix web interface. Or no, I'm not, because what happened now was just the same as before. That, and as you see here, an email was sent to the hacker in this case, with all the information that is just put in on my website here: username, my password, it should have said password, PIN code, and one-time passcode. So all the information was given in one instance, and therefore could be transferred as it was here to a potential hacker. So the hacker now has all the information and can log in as if it was me, even though we did introduce two-factor authentication. And this can only be done because all the information is given in one piece, if you want, all at once. So the problem here is that traditional two-factor authentication consists of a username and password and then a one-time passcode that's generated before you log in. So before you log in, it's a pre-issued passcode that you need when you log in. And the problem with that is that it can't really resist these phishing sites where you log in with all your information. So let's see how we can address that in a smarter way, maybe. So how would hackers know how to do this? Unfortunately, the hackers are having great times on very popular sites like YouTube. So if you want to know how to do this, we could put in here how to create a phishing site, for instance. And let's see, we have 600 videos instructing us in how to do phishing sites. So very easily, a potential hacker or a new young kid maybe considering to become a hacker as a career, he would go here, and as you see, these videos are actually being watched. So this is not a Russian or Brazilian or Swedish hacker sub-site. This is just YouTube, and you have lots and lots of videos on how to do these kind of things. It's very scary, actually. So let me show you how this. Sorry, that was a bit too much. Let me show you how SMS passcode works and how it's different from the old tokens. So let me log into our real Citrix system, and it would look like this. So this is a traditional Citrix login, and what we've done is that we installed an agent on this web interface server and connected that to the SMS passcode system that we have. And what I need to do as a user here is to log in with my username and Windows password, or username and AD password, and nothing else. So I don't need anything extra, any PIN codes or anything. So I'll just log in with my username and password. And let's see what happens. So if this was a fake site, I would have lost my password. But since it's not, this is what happens. So username and password is validated. And did you hear that? That was my one-time passcode sent to my phone. And here it says ICE. So I have my one-time passcode sent instantly and delivered to my mobile phone as a text message. It pops up as a flash SMS on top of my screen, so I don't need to unlock my phone. On the top of my screen, all phones can do this. Not just smartphones, but every phone in the world actually. When I'm done reading the code, I just press OK or tap the phone, and then it's gone. So I don't need to clean up old one-time passcodes. So this is super simple for the user, and this was actually the reason why we built this solution originally, was to have a very simple solution for users. They don't need to remember anything but their mobile phone, which they tend to remember already. So if they're without their phone, they'll return to home and collect their phone. If they were without their token, they would maybe not do anything. Let me show you how I log in once again. And as you see here, the timer, it says I only have 32 seconds or 37 seconds to log in. And this is, of course, a very short period of time. Normally, this would be like 2 minutes. It's up to you to set that. So you have a time-based code, and you can set it as whatever you want. We've set it down to 45 seconds because then I can show you these mechanisms that we have. So if you were not to receive this one-time passcode via text message, you could set up some failover mechanisms. As you heard now, I did receive the one-time passcode via SMS, but let's pretend that I did not. Then this would happen. So the system detects that I'm not entering a code, and that it tries to send me a code in a different way. So here I received the code via email on my BlackBerry phone. And you can see here in my email, I have it right here. So I can put in this code, EKDing, and then I will be logging on. It also says here that it is a trusted location. I will get back to that in a few minutes, and that the org ID is SMS Passcode AS. That's our company name. But we'll get back to that in a while. So now it runs out of time again, and let's see what happens. It tries to send me a code in the third way now, and let's see how that sounds. So now my phone is ringing, and it's not my wife.
Your code is 55974. Once again, your code is.
So as you heard, hopefully you heard it. This was a dial out with a lady calling me with my one-time passcode. So a new one-time passcode was generated in real time and delivered to me instantly. And that way, as you saw, I had first the text, and then second the email, and third the voice call or dial out. So these three ways are main ways of delivering the one-time passcode to you as a user. And you can set it up in whatever way you want. 99% of our users are only using the SMS, and it's sufficient throughout the world. But in some areas of the world, you will, for instance, in the US, they are very keen on the dial-out. They love that, and so we made this for them, and also for a few users in Japan and that area of the world. They like the voice call and they like the email. If you have BlackBerry devices, the email makes sense. If you have a administrator-controlled mobile device, it makes sense with the email also. So now I'm in. I could show you a few other logins, because this was a Citrix login. You might not be using Citrix. You might be using Outlook Web Access, for instance. This would give us the exact same user friendliness, user experience. So users don't need to do anything but what they're normally doing, logging in on Outlook Web Access, and here it says, we've sent you a code. Did you hear that? Yeah. And it says, hi, Jake 3, and then a bit of Microsoft commercial, and then I'm on my email. Just to show you how these logins look what they look like. I could log in on my VPN. Maybe some of you are using VPN, Cisco, Checkpoint, Juniper. It's the same, all of it. WatchGuard. What else do we have? Microsoft VPN even. This might not work because I'm on the LAN. Now we close that. Okay, I think I can use this. AnyConnect clients. This is also Cisco AnyConnect, and it will prompt me for username password here, and press enter, and then it says here, please enter SMS password. You can design this message as you want. So this is like 2-3 seconds later, I receive the code every time. This is a super robust system in delivering the one-time passcode, and that is, of course, very important because you don't want to sit and wait for that one-time passcode, and you don't. Luckily, you don't. I've never tried it, actually. I've received 1 million codes, I think, around the world also. So now I'm on my Cisco VPN. Where do we have that? Somewhere. I'm on. I can disconnect. So I'm on, and so you see it's nicely integrated with whatever I log into, and we'll come to that in a bit later. How many systems or what kind of system you can protect with this security. So this was at least the first bit of the live demo. So you could see that this was a real-time generated passcode, and you could also see that this was a time-based solution. So the one-time passcode was only valid in a certain period of time. But what you could not see was the extra layer of security on top of time-based one-time passcodes, and that's what this very, very ugly PowerPoint show is supposed to tell you. So I'm sorry for the bad graphics, but the sales department gives us this PowerPoint themselves, so this is how it looks. Anyway, it shows you that the PC I'm logging in from tries to gain access to a given system, and what happens is already today, even though you don't have SMS passcode, a session ID is given, and then you see the computer is sort of attached to this system or recognized with this session ID. And then the user enters his username password, and once that is validated, we generate the one-time passcode. So in opposition to old token systems or traditional token systems where the one-time passcode is generated beforehand or pre-issued, we generate the one-time passcode after the session is known and after you log into the given system, after also an AD validation. So we generate the one-time passcode here, and because we generate it at this stage, we can link it to the session ID. And this means that even though I were to lose my one-time passcode on the GSM network, or somebody looked me over the shoulder or whatever, it would not work anywhere else but here. So it's linked to the computer where I'm logging in from. And the great thing about this is that you enhance security a lot, but the users will not experience this as a hassle because they're just logging in on their computer, receiving the SMS, and then logging on. They don't realize that the one-time passcode is only valid on that specific computer, because so it's not any trouble for the user, but a lot of extra security. And we won a few awards on this feature specifically. So as you see here also, we have this very nice modem, a drawing of a modem anyway. So a GSM modem is a part of the solution, and everything is delivered in one piece, one solution. If we take a bit of time down memory lane, if you want, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, when computers were born or more and more used, we used to have just a plain connection. Then we had these personalized usernames, so we didn't have to see everything. And then sometime in the 70s, the passwords were invented, and we had passwords for up till now, of course. But what you've experienced with passwords is that they needed to be stronger and longer, and you need to change password all the time. And the only reason that we need to change passwords every 30 days or 3 weeks or 3 months maybe is that we are afraid that somebody else has our password. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense that we change password. So the only reason that we do this is because we are afraid of identity theft in one way or the other. And ever since key logging was introduced by hackers some 25 years ago, we needed more than our password, because if we just had a strong password with a given length, it didn't really matter to a keylogger because it will just copy. It's the same as phishing actually, so it just copies your password. It doesn't really matter how fresh it is or how old it is or how long it is, complicated or what. So therefore these tokens were introduced. And then some 5, 6, 10 years ago, these SUS malware and various other malwares were introduced that steals these one-time passcodes. So this very nasty malware. And we also have these phishing sites or real-time farming attacks, which I showed you just before on my Facebook and my Citrix login. So that was a phishing site, and I could be, it's called farming when I'm redirected to this phishing site. So I could automatically be redirected if my DNS was compromised, for instance. So how do we come around this phishing farming sites? We come around with that on a channel-specific code and a session-specific code. So the code has to be challenge-based. So it needs to be a real-time generated code, only generated if I'm logging into the real system and not into a phishing site. And we'd like to put it to protect also the session. So we like to bind it to the session. So that even though I might lose it, it won't matter. So what's the next? The next thing is this man in the middle, or man in the browser, or man in the back attacks, which we've seen today primarily in the banking sector. So numerous banks are being hacked at the moment. Also here in Denmark, I think 8 or 9 successful hacks have been done just this year using these man-in-the-middle attacks. So this is like the latest threats. And the only thing you can do to protect against these threats are certificates, or what we have done here. And certificates gives you a lot of trouble in rolling out certificates, and all the users will be bound to these given devices. So the only thing you can do if you want to give users access to your systems from unknown computers and that's way mobilize your workforce is to give them extra security in a different way. Let me show you what that is. So it says location and context aware passcodes. So this means, we'll come to it in a minute. So In our latest version, we introduced this multi-factor authentication, which means that we can combine a number of things. And some of these are based on the fact that it's real-time generated code. So we can combine what you're trying to access with where you come from, because as you log in, we can see your IP address or your org ID. We can see your country, for instance. And we can see, and we can also recognize who you are. That could be from a user group or user group policy, for instance. So who you are and what you're trying to access and where you come from will determine your login scenario. Let me give you a few examples on that. So here we use, as you might saw before, we use Salesforce as our CRM system. And when we are on in our offices, it doesn't really make sense to do two-factor authentication since I've already passed security, physical security in with alarms and so, and also a receptionist. Of course, that could be the best part. So we don't need two-factor authentication here. We trust that I am Nikolai and I have my PC and I log on to Salesforce. So we don't need two-factor authentication there. But when I go home privately or sit in a hotel, we would like to know if it's still Nikolai logging into Salesforce, and therefore we enable two-factor authentication. So that is where you come from and what I'm trying to access. We can also separate what you're allowed to access depending on which country you come from, or it could be a different login scenario if you log in from Hungary or it could be Afghanistan, Iran. We might have some restraints. So we might say you are not allowed to access your webmail from Iran, but it's okay that you access your Citrix because we trust that more, maybe. Or you're only allowed to access via VPN if you're in this given country or whatever. So we can that way we can build a set of rules that says these given systems are only allowed to be accessed from these countries, for instance. I'll shut down my phone now. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Otherwise, please come with some questions later. This could last thing could be who you are. This could be external consultants, for instance. So if you're an external consultant, you don't need to have access to webmail or SharePoint or any other, or Salesforce, for instance, but you do, because you might only need access via Citrix or via VPN. So you're not allowed to do anything but that. So you can set these rules up in the SMS passcode environment. So back to the context-aware security. So what you can do against the man-in-the-middle attacks is to give users an alert. So this is hopefully this shows you as Arena an alerting system, and if users are educated, so you told them that please be aware of what we tell you in this text, this security text that we sent you, text message that we sent you, we can enhance security. And let me give you an example, hopefully a good one also. So if you are based out of the UK, you will have a +44 phone number, and if you were to travel to Denmark, let's take that example, your one-time passcode can differ from what you're used to. So you usually work from home in the UK, and you would have a one-time passcode. Let me take the one I had on my email here. So here you would have a trusted location in top of your email or text message with your one-time passcode, because you're used to logging in from here. You've been validated a number of times is what this means. So that might be 3 times you are validated with your two-factor authentication, and then we trust this location. So it says trusted location, and then it says more than your passcode, it says your org ID. It could also here tell you your country. So this is what you're used to when you're home. But if you then move to a different country, it will say non-trusted location, and it will tell you what country you're logging in from. So you probably know that you are in Denmark if you're here. So it will say here's your one-time passcode, and you're based out of Denmark right now. And if you're not, so if you're still in the UK and you all of a sudden receive a one-time passcode saying that you're in Sweden or Denmark or Mongolia, something is wrong. This is what this is all about. That if you have these man-in-the-back attacks, the guy will steal your session and try to have you enter your one-time passcode that is delivered to your phone, personal phone, and he'll try to make you put in that one-time passcode. But if you're alerted and know just a little bit about this, it'll say non-trusted location in a different country probably. It can tell you a number of things, and you might be alerted and not give that hacker your one-time passcode. So this is what that weapon is all about. I hope that was sufficient. So this slide will show you what kind of systems can we protect with the SMS passcode system. And we started off using this only for Citrix web interface, and worked with that for 8 years now. And then we introduced some 5-6 years ago our radius protection to be used on VPN, SSL VPN also. I can show you that because that is actually becoming quite popular. So this is my Cisco SSL VPN, and as you see here, I log in using my username and password, and then it'll ask me for a response. It'll ask me for something more. I turned off this sound, but it's right here. Masfec. So here I'm on my SSL VPN, and I could have access to Outlook Web Access, for instance, this way. So this is a gateway. All right, so this is radius protection, and then we have the website protection. So you can protect this, protect your, for instance, Outlook Web Access, all the Microsoft-based websites. You can protect your terminal services. If you don't have Citrix, you might have some Windows servers published through terminal services, or RD Web Access, or RDP, just RDP, and you can protect those Windows servers or the Windows login with SMS passcode. You could have an ICTMG firewall or various other firewalls. We've done a great development in conjunction with Citrix on their receivers. So if you do have Citrix, you might know that that Citrix has these Citrix receivers for iPhone, iPad, Android, and Windows Phone also now. And so we support these Citrix receivers as the only two-factor authentication company in the world. Also, we announced cloud application protection, which is to be used on Salesforce, for instance, or Office 365, Google Docs, Google Apps. So these various cloud applications that you see more and more of, these can also be protected by username AD password and then two-factor authentication by SMS passcode. So instead of users having numerous passwords for these different systems and none of them being protected by two-factor authentication, you can put the same SMS password solution on all of these systems. And this is very nice because you don't pay extra to protect more systems, and you can allow users to use cloud applications or to use SSL VPN or Outlook Web Access without any concerns in regards to user identity anyway. So this is in place. This is just to wrap up. Sorry, some of this is still in Danish. So we have various ways of delivering this one-time passcode, because it's the primary is of course the SMS, but you can also do the dial-out, as you heard, or the email. We actually also have a small token device. If you have half a percent of users or a few users needing a token since they don't have a phone, maybe, which would be not very likely, but then they could have a token device instead. But the secure way to do it is these three methods. Yeah, then you can look in various ADs. You can have group policies, low balance. Everything is low balanced, and failover mechanisms on every component in the system. We have a self-service portal. I have not shown you that, but maybe we'll do it later. we protect various systems, and more to come, latest these cloud systems. We actually also introduced last year a password reset module, enabling users to change their AD password from home or from hotel, wherever, from remote, including two-factor authentication, of course. So now that we can validate users securely, we are not we can allow them to change or unlock their AD password. So that's a module that you purchase on top of SMS Password. This is just to give you a few references. This is my slide deck, so most of these are Danish or Nordic customers. I put in a few of our UK references: Moore Stephens, South Wales Police Department. You might know some of the others also. Arla just recently merged with Milklink. You might know DSV, the big roading company. They have 20,000 users on our system. Arla has some 5,000 users. United Paper Mills is the world's biggest paper manufacturer with 38,000 employees. Probably heard of UNICEF as well. Some of the Lego, of course, some of these. So we're fairly recognized in many businesses. So that was it for me up to now, anyway. If you have questions, please fire them off.
Thank you very much, Nikolai, for that presentation. As Nikolai said, we're now going to open this up for questions. If you want to send them over through the question box, we'll try and address those. Just in summary there, so what we've seen is a very simple to use solution, and we no longer need to really carry a token. We're just carrying a mobile phone that most of us already carry and just out of interest. That doesn't need to be a very latest smartphone. It can be a 10-year-old Nokia stick phone, and that'll do the trick just as well. And what was interesting to me to see is that, it's not just the traditional two-factor, but we're talking multi-factor, where we can look at the context awareness and location awareness as well, and which I think adds that extra level of security. So just coming in, we've got a couple of quick questions. Perhaps if I can address this one first to Nikolai. What if we don't have access to a mobile phone? Let's say we've lost our mobile phone, or we can't get a signal. We might be in a basement or something like that and doesn't get a signal. What do we do then? Hello, Nikolai? Maybe Anoop, are you there? Can you answer that one?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so with SMS passcode, if you were to be in an underground or in a data center, which we have numerous customers who have asked that question before purchasing SMS passcode, we have failover to either email or we have static codes. You can actually generate a static code via administrator, which is the same level of security as a token-based code has. Or you could use one of our cloud keys. So in a typical environment, one of our customers, South Wales Police, specifically asked this question. So they purchased 500 SMS passcode licenses, but on top of that, 3 of the engineers received 3 cloud keys. But if I can just extend, if you have a token and you're abroad or anywhere in the UK and you were to lose that token, it's much more painful to get on the VPN, because you can't. You have to wait for that token key to be synced, and this could take couple of days. It could take even up to a week. Whereas if I'm on if I were to lose my phone, or or lose any signal, I could generate that static code straight away, or I could go into a Vodafone shop and receive a phone almost immediately. Or if I'm with a colleague, I can get the administrator to send the two-factor authentication code via my colleague. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think it does. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
We've got one other question that's come in here. How easy is this to set up and install?
It's very easy. It's incredibly easy. So we have had a number of customers who specifically asked this question as well. For example, British Dental Association, they had around 650 tokens, secure ID tokens, and migration was very important. The uptime to configure and build a token-based enterprise, I think for about 700-800 users, would take around 6-7 weeks because it is very labor intensive. SMS passcode, the uptime for this takes around 30 minutes, and this is how long it took British Dental Association. And because we coexist with tokens, you could literally plug SMS passcode into the system. And again, if I can stress, we do not have dependencies on systems, because as you have more dependencies on systems, the more problematic it can become. You literally plug it in, and if you do not use your tokens, then SMS passcode can take over. So licensing, you may ask, how is it licensed? So with SMS passcode, you purchase a starter pack which comes with a 5-user license, and top of that you just count the number of client access licenses, or we say CALs. So if you have a 100-user install base, you buy the starter pack which comes with 5 users, and you buy 95 client access license. And if you were to scale from, say, 100 users to 1,000, the install time would take literally a couple of minutes. It's as simple as that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Looks like we've got one other question coming in. Okay, so, right. So the question is, what can be done if your passcode modem fails? How resilient can the central system be?
It's incredibly resilient. So in all our install bases, what we recommend is the starter pack comes with a modem, but we recommend for the customer to buy an additional modem. So basically they have 2 modems, which is built by Siemens, and say on one modem you may have Vodafone as your chosen network, and on the second modem you may have O2 or Orange on the network. And all our global installations, our support calls are very low. We rarely get into this situation. Some providers suggest you buy SMS bundle text like Clickatel. It's great for game shows like X Factor, but because of the very nature of the internet, we don't recommend that, because you may have the best firewall in place, but because the web gateway provider like Clickatel or another one, because their site may not be as secure as yours. So in terms of resiliencies, it's very resilient.
Okay, wonderful. That's quite a relevant question when you think that half the O2 network has gone down around the country in the last day. So
absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so good point. So have a backup modem and go with 2 different providers, and that gives you, takes you away from having a single point of failure.
That's correct. And if I can just add, these service providers like Vodafone and Orange are much more stronger and reliable than the SMS bundle text providers, because we have had experience from customers, coming from customers, that their networks do go down, and even 1 day, 2 days, or even 2 hours could prove complete disaster.
Yeah.
Whereas the mobile phone providers are much more stronger, and the customer has the choice to choose. And the texts which go out are completely free of charge, because you basically purchase a text-only SIM, which goes into your modem.
Okay, wonderful. So not relying on 3G, it's just needing GPRS as well, and therefore another level there. Okay, well that actually wraps up all the questions we've had in. I know we've gone over a little bit on time there, but we have had those few questions in. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks to Nikolai for the presentation, and for Anoop in providing us some of the answers to the questions there. If anyone has any questions, you'll see our contact details on the splash screen. We've got our website, www.netutils.com. Our phone number into the office is 020-8783-3800, or you can contact us via email on sales@netutils.com. We hope you've enjoyed the presentation today, and we look forward to welcoming you to some of our future events. Thank you very much, folks. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.